Am I the a-hole for kicking my husband's sister out for leaving a fake pregnancy test in my bedroom? My 33 husband, Adam 36, came back from his month-long trip days ago. My in-laws live states away, and my sister-in-law 20 was staying with me since she got kicked out of her dorm. Adam and I got back from the airport at 7 p.m. and my family came to visit. Adam went inside a bedroom and started unpacking while I was in the kitchen with my mother. I suddenly heard Adam shouting my name. He told me to come upstairs ASAP. He sounded very angry. I went to meet him in the bedroom, and I saw him holding a positive pregnancy test in his hand. I was dumbfounded. He began questioning me, saying he found it inside my sock drawer. He asked, "You gotta explain to me what the hell this was doing there?" I was speechless from my shock as I understood what this might have looked like to him. I said I had no idea. It wasn't mine, and I'd never seen it before. He kept telling me to explain how it got there if I'd never seen it, and it wasn't mine. My family heard a commotion and tried to intervene, but Adam locked the door. I freaked out because I literally had no idea what was going on. Adam said he just wanted me to be honest. I said he had a right to be mad, but I knew nothing about it and had no explanation. He said mad doesn't even begin to cover it. Then suddenly he started putting everything back in his bag, saying he was going to stay with a friend till I call him up with an explanation. He unlocked the door and found my family waiting. His sister showed up asking what was going on, then started laughing, asking, "So, was it really positive or not?" I was stunned as she proceeded to say she planted a pregnancy test in the drawer as a prank, and that everyone should come down. She was like, "Bruh, chill. Have you ever heard of fake pregnancy tests? They're pretty telling." I was livid. I screamed at her, asking how she thought this was funny and that it was okay to humiliate me in front of my family. She tried to justify it by saying it was her boyfriend's, who has ASPD by the way, idea to bring laughter to the atmosphere. But I told her she was no longer welcome in my home after what she did. Adam took a seat to calm down, watching us argue as my mom got involved, asking me to take it easy. I insisted that my sister-in-law pack and leave right then, and she started crying and apologizing, saying she had nowhere to go, begging Adam to do something, but he didn't. I called her an Uber and had her leave. Mother-in-law heard and started calling me, shaming me for kicking her daughter out like that. I told her what her daughter did, and she still said my reaction was over the top, as her daughter is being naive and is a kid acting recklessly. She said we're her family and I should consider taking her back, but I said I won't. Edit. I too was confused by Adam's reaction, and I have a feeling he was in on the prank too, based on how serious it was being. Mom thought the same thing, and I wouldn't be surprised since A, he remained quiet when I argued with his sister, and B, he always does pranks with her and sees nothing wrong with her behavior. He actually thinks she's funny. I don't know if I'll ever be sure about him taking part in her prank. Edit 2. Adam and I struggle with infertility on his side because of his health issues, so that added to my anger since it seemed like his sister was being cruel and insensitive. Now for the top comments. Not stay home. Also kicked out of her dorm room. Pretty much leads me to believe sister-in-law isn't house-trained at all. To be frank, she didn't disclose the reason why they got her kicked out of dorm, but she said it wasn't her fault. With people like this, it's never their fault. Not stay home. Whoever would even think for a second that was funny? I don't know, but my in-laws, including Adam, see no issue with how my sister-in-law behaves. Moreover, they think her mentally unstable boyfriend has an influence on her character. Not stay home. Frankly, the only a-holes here are your husband and your sister-in-law. Your sister-in-law for the distasteful prank and your husband for not giving you the benefit of doubt. I would have told your husband to stay somewhere else for the night and to think about who he thinks he married. Not stay home. Bruh, it can't with people in these comments. They struggle with infertility from his side, so is naturally probably a little insecure. Plus, he found an effing pregnancy test when he was gone for a month. Of course, the natural thought in that moment was that she was sleeping with other men in his bed. Literally anyone would have shouted. And with closing the door a bit, he never stopped her from going outside. He locked the door because he doesn't want unnecessary people interfering in their very, very personal business. Is this so hard to understand? Or we see a man and automatically assume that he's an abuser. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not including my wife on a family trip? I, 44 male, am the only boy of my family. My sisters are 46, 42, and 39 respectively. My wife is 39, and we just got married about 6 years ago. We have one daughter aged 4 and a son aged 3. My parents are both in their 70s. Sadly, we recently found out that my father doesn't have much time left. My sisters and I all spent our formative years in a northern Midwestern state, but my father received a job offer on the East Coast when I was 11 years old, so we moved there and we've all lived in that general area since. When we received bad news about our father's prognosis, my parents decided that we should take a family trip to our old state to visit old family gravesites, old family homesteads, cousins, etc. It just seemed like something that was very important to our parents. I thought that this seemed like a very worthwhile trip. Somehow, though, it got decided that this trip should include just the siblings and grandchildren, which seemed to me as bizarre. My older sister never got married or had kids, and I don't think she had any say in this. I think it was my 2 younger sisters, both of whom are struggling in their marriages and are on the verge of divorcing their husbands, who decided this. I argued back and forth with them that spouses should be included in this trip, but I was outvoted. I think both of my parents would have been happy to include our spouses, but they were just going to go along with the majority decision because it is most important to them to have their kids and grandkids there. When I told my wife about this, she became very upset. She said that if for no reason, as the mother of the 2 children I would be bringing along, that she should be included so that she didn't have to be away from her kids. I told her that I absolutely agreed, and that I stood up for her, but that I was outvoted. She then told me that I should take a stand and refuse to go on this trip unless she's included. But I told her that the trip was too important for me to dig my heels in and miss for any reason, so that I would be going, even if in protest. She, let's just say, was not happy with me. I understand my wife is upset, but I don't think it's fair for her to force me to make this choice. Am I the a-hole? Just got married 6 years ago. 6 years is more than just. I wonder if it's because it feels like they got married a little later in life. Like, if they're 39 and 44, people could think they've been married 15 years and wanted to clarify. It's still weird phrasing, but that's what I jumped to. I'm from a small town, and most people there get married in their early 20s, which may be why I jumped to that. I wonder why the sisters are on the brink of divorce, selfishly making demands for getting what the trip is about. Just say, sorry, the wife is coming, and go on the trip. What are they going to do? Exactly. Who are they to decide anyway? If I were him, I would do this. You're the a-hole. Look, not going is not an option, I get it. But take your wife. What are your sisters going to do? Ignore them. Be a man and stand up for your wife. Honestly, what are your sisters going to do? Leave? That's their problem. This is a tacit statement that while her children are part of the family, your wife isn't. Be a man. Not today home. Crazy how no one says anything about the wife giving him the damn ultimatum. Like, don't go on the last trip with your dad? The trip is for the father and his children. If he agreed to only having the grandchildren and children, only then your wife is allowed to be upset. But to force you to choose is too much. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for allowing my husband to harass my cousin? So, my 26 female husband, 30 male, has fun trolling people and getting under their skin online and WhatsApp, but is never rude in person, just in cyber world. It's just his personality. We have this cousin chat, and one cousin, Samuel, 30 male, has always been sensitive to my husband's antics. He did directly tell my husband he doesn't appreciate him making fun of his beliefs, politics, appearance for laughs, but my husband continued to do it, and Samuel eventually just took it and remained quiet. We were all at peace for about a year, and my husband continued to make jokes, but Samuel ignored it. My husband made another joke about Samuel when Samuel's wife, Aaliyah, 25 male, stepped in, saying she didn't appreciate us using her husband as punching bag, and everyone on the chat is rude for not stopping my husband. Aaliyah's always been a hothead. Someone offends somebody else, she always steps in and attacks. She doesn't let people fight their own battles, and it's annoying. So my cousins and I made a private chat talking about how Samuel is too sensitive and Aaliyah shouldn't be so crazy. Somehow Aaliyah found out about this and messaged me. Here is the part of messages which I want people's opinions. Aaliyah, your husband is rude, but you are worse. You always post messages on Facebook saying if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it, be kind, love first. But when me and my husband directly say our husband is offending us, you just say it's his personality. Me. It is just his personality. It's your fault you don't understand everyone's relationship. Everyone got along until you came. Aaliyah, what are you talking about? My husband has always disliked your husband. Me, well, he didn't say anything for a year. It means he's okay with it. It's just you. Aaliyah, not true, but okay, let's say it's just me. I'm offended by your husband. You think it's just his personality, right? I'm saying it's hurtful. You could have private messaged me and apologized, or at least asked if I was okay, if you cared about peace and kindness so much. Me, I have nothing to apologize for. My husband and I didn't do anything wrong. You just don't understand our dynamics and always try to pick a fight. It went on for a bit, but then Aaliyah eventually let it go. So Reddit, what do you think? Should I have reached out and apologized for my husband's behavior? My family is saying Aaliyah is just crazy and Samuel is just overly sensitive. Edit. Aaliyah doesn't just politely say stop. She throws disrespectful insults as well. You're the a-hole and your husband is an a-hole. 1. It's not his personality. It's him being an a-hole. 2. Samuel wasn't okay with it. He just realized that no one was on his side and decided to take it to keep the peace. 3. Aaliyah is right. Your husband is mean. 4. You owe both Aaliyah and Samuel an apology. I think she's an a-hole too. What nice person lets someone else be harassed and bullied and thinks, ow, that's a completely normal personality trait online from their bully. Let's not stick up for the victim, but continue to shower the bully with love and affection through marriage. You're the a-hole. No one but Opie is not a nice person. Nice people don't advertise how nice they are. They demonstrate it with their behavior. Only complete a-holes feel the need to constantly talk about being nice. You are 100% correct, Opie. It is your husband's personality, and he has the personality of a bully. And you have the personality of a total hypocrite. You're both a-holes, and so is your cousin group, with the exception of Samuel and Aaliyah. You and your husband both owe Samuel and Aaliyah sincere apologies. Not any of those passive BS, I'm sorry you were hurt apologies, but genuine, contrite, I am sorry my actions hurt and offended you apologies. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my ex-husband have my deceased daughter's ashes? I am an Indian woman who came to the United States on a student visa and met my ex-husband Dean. My family wasn't happy about the relationship, but eventually relented when they realized we were serious about each other. I got pregnant a few months into our marriage and gave birth to our daughter, Asha. After I gave birth, I developed PPD, and as a result, our marriage suffered and never really recovered. I was on antidepressants. 2 years after her birth, my ex-husband got close to his co-worker, Laura, and they began a 2-year torrid affair. When eventually got caught, he apologized for hurting my feelings but claimed he was in love with Laura. We divorced, and I was left in the US all alone without any emotional or family support. The divorce happened in 2017, and we shared 50-50 custody of Asha. In February 2020, I decided to visit my family in India as my extended family had never met my daughter. The original plan was to stay in India for 3 months, but the plans changed as the world got locked down. One day, my daughter complained of uneasiness and stomach pain after she had her usual lunch. I gave her a digestive enzyme and asked her to rest. When I went to check in on her an hour later, she was gone. I still don't know what happened that day, but after that moment, everything was a blur. My sister informed my ex-husband, but because borders were shut, he couldn't come to India for the rituals. I cremated my girl according to Hindu rituals and later immersed her ashes in the Ganges as per our customs. I have refused to take any calls from ex in the past 1 year as I am still dealing with grief. My ex has reached out to me and wants my address to get some of her ashes. I let my sister convey to him that the ashes have been disposed of as per customs. He is now furious and wants me to come back to the United States and give him some of her toys. I have planned on never going back. He already has some of her clothes and toys, and I refuse to directly talk to him. That part of my life is over and done. Am I the a-hole? To answer a few questions. 1. We were told she suffered a cardiac arrest. She was already dead when she was brought to the nearest hospital. My ex was sent all the details of the hospital documents. 2. He and his family were sent the Zoom link for the funeral. 3. He already has half of her belongings. 4. I didn't keep her ashes. It was disposed of the day after the cremation in the Ganges as per Hindu religious beliefs. 5. He was informed of all the rituals that were going to take place beforehand. He probably didn't understand them. 6. No, I wasn't in contact with him. My family was. 7. The reason he had no problem with me taking Asha to India was because in 2019, he took her to Russia to meet his grandparents. 8. When we left for India, it was early February, and we didn't realize COVID was going to be a global pandemic. 9. My ex's heritage is Russian Jewish. He didn't follow his religion when we were married, and I raised her Hindu. Now for the comments before reading the little update. You are dealing with a lot, and I don't think this sub is the place for you right now. That said, you ask, and you're the a-hole. I understand you're grieving the loss of your daughter, but so is your ex. You say what happened to Asha on the day she got sick is a mystery to you, and you were there. Imagine how he feels that he saw his daughter off on what was supposed to be a 3-month vacation. Is then told she is dead, is then told her remains have been disposed of, and can't even get you to talk to him. If I were him, I would have suspect that Asha is still alive, and the whole thing is a ruse to cut her off from him. Please consider talking directly to him. It may not be as painful as you were anticipating. In fact, it may help you to grieve with the other one person who can understand how it feels to have lost your daughter. He might also suspect that Opie had a hand in her death. He's probably thinking all kinds of crazy things. You're the a-hole. He is her father. He was an active part of her life. You're being vindictive. His affair has nothing to do with him being a father and wanting to have a part of his daughter. I hope you can live with yourself for being so horrible to a grieving parent. You had no right to unilaterally decide what to do with her remains. Your customs don't override his. You should have given him half of the ashes. Update. I realized that people believe I'm the a-hole. I understand and accept judgment. I didn't ask for advice, and no, I'm not going to talk to him ever again. We are done. He can hate me. I don't care. Since I didn't get to be with her in her last days, I'll be sending him a pair of her shoes that she wore during her India visit. My family will contact him regarding the same. Me not talking to him personally is nothing out of the normal. Even when Asha was alive, I kept communication to what the court stipulated. No chit-chat, no weather talk. It was just business. We communicated via email. I have no reason to talk to him now. People can call this being vindictive. I call this my boundary.
Am I the a-hole for leaving my mom's house and going to my dad's after fighting with my half-siblings about us not having the same dad? I, 16 male, have a different dad than my half-siblings, 14 male, 12 female, and 11 female. My mom is married to their dad, and the two of them act like I'm theirs. And like my dad is just some random dude I see every other week. They try to downplay the fact that he is my dad and has 50% custody of me. I've told my mom before that they should cut it out, but she said I technically have 2 dads, and that her husband is better. She also said I should be grateful he was willing to take me on and claim me as his. He told me I don't get to call another man dad in his house, which ticks me off and makes me want to do things that wouldn't be good. My half-siblings know I live somewhere else every other week, but they treat it like it's totally normal for someone to be with a non-parent half the time. They always tell me that their dad lives there and that I shouldn't call someone else dad. I found photos of my dad holding me when I was born and showed them, but they still acted like it was wrong. When I was younger, because of how bad things were, I asked my dad if he was really my dad. He reassured me that he had no doubts, but I was so frustrated by everything that we did a DNA test. It proved he is my biological dad. I never told my mom or anyone in her family because she would lose it on my dad if she found out. But I know 100% he is my dad, not my half-sibling's dad. And being married to my mom doesn't give her husband the right to push my dad out. It's getting harder to stay calm when this stuff comes up at my mom's house. A couple of weeks ago, there was an incident that caused a lot of trouble. I was at my mom's house and my half-siblings wanted to do something for their dad's 40th birthday. They wanted me to buy a gift from all 4 of us, but I said no. They said he is our dad and deserves it, but I said no. He is not my dad. They called me a turd and made a huge deal out of me denying he is my dad. I told them they can't undo the fact that my dad is my dad in every single way. I told them I don't even like their stupid dad and to get the heck away from me. The youngest went to her room, but the other two stayed and said I was such a jerk and so mean and I should be better. My half-brother called me retarded and said I need to stop treating their dad like he's some random guy. He said their dad deserves better and told me they'd steal money from me if they had to. My half-sister said they were too young to work or have their own money, and he deserved something. I said he'd get nothing and too bad, so sad. They wouldn't drop it and even try to force their way into my room. At that point, I snapped and told them to get the heck away from me. I said I didn't care about their dad, called him a giant territorial a-hole who can't accept that his wife had a kid before him, and said I'd rather be an orphan than be their dad's kid. Then I left the house and went to my dad's. He was shocked but helped me calm down. I refused to go back to my mom's after that. She called the police and they asked me if I'd come home. I said not willingly. Now my mom has filed in court, wanting my dad to lose custody for not making me go back. I'm also getting so much grief for leaving and for fighting with my half-siblings. When my mom found out why, she told me I need to be grateful for my real dad, meaning her husband. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your mom sounds like a real piece of work. You're 16. The court will take your preferences into consideration. Hopefully you can live with your dad full-time and get away from your mom, her toxic husband, and her awful bratty kids. Not the a-hole. Your mom and her family have been practicing what is known as parental alienation, trying to make you see your dad as less important than your stepdad. That's absolutely wrong. And if you tell the court exactly what's been going on, you won't have to return. Be sure to mention how many times you've asked them to stop denying your parentage, and the fact that your stepfather won't even let you call your own father dad. And OP, start writing down everything you remember happening ever with this. Dates, or at least general ideas of when, what they said or did, who was there, all of that. Not the a-hole. Your mom must be delusional, or she must have been cheating with her husband the whole time she was with your dad. If you really care what she thinks and prefer to stay with your dad full-time, send her this posting and let the games begin. I don't care what she thinks, but I still don't think it's a good idea for her to know about the DNA test either, and I mention it in my post. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my stepmother she was never important to me and telling my younger brother what she said? My dad and stepmother got married when I, 17 male, was 9. My brother, 15 male, was almost 7. Our mom had died 2 years before that. It happened quickly, but we managed to adjust. My dad always had a bad relationship with our mom's side of the family, and when she died, he tried to cut them off from us. However, our grandparents were granted visitation rights before he met our stepmother. When my dad and stepmother got married, it was obvious she didn't like the visitation arrangement. My dad and grandparents used an app where they could request specific days, and my dad had to approve at least 3 a month. That's how it always worked. We were frequently asked when we returned home if our grandparents had mentioned our stepmother or said anything mean about her. We always told them the truth. Our grandparents didn't talk about her at all and rarely mentioned our dad. When we visited, we did fun things and sometimes something to remember our mom. What my dad and stepmother imagined those visits to be like was entirely different from reality. Mother's Day was always a contentious time. My grandparents got Mother's Day the 2nd year after Mom died, just before Dad's wedding. They continued to request it every year. My dad and stepmother didn't like it. But when Dad asked if we'd rather spend that day with them instead of our grandparents, I said I liked being with Mom's family. My brother felt the same, so Dad approved it every year. My stepmother hated it. The app used for visitation has its own calendar, and once a day is approved, my dad can't reverse it unless my brother and I are sick. A while ago, Dad approved a date without realizing it was my stepmother's birthday. She was angry. While I was at my grandparents' house, which my dad and stepmother didn't know, she called and told them they had to give up the day because it was her birthday. They refused. She then went on a long rant, accusing them of acting entitled to time with us and claiming they didn't realize she was the most important woman in our lives. She even said she was equally, if not more, important than our mom ever was because we were so young when Mom died. She told my grandparents they were nothing and that sooner or later they'd realize she would always come before them in our lives. Her words enraged me. She had no idea I was there or that I heard everything she said to my grandparents. When I got home, I started yelling at her, telling her I heard it all and how awful it was for her to speak to my grandparents like that. I told her she was never important to me and would never come before them. I said she's not my mom. I never saw her as family, and if she and my dad ever divorced, I wouldn't stay in touch with her because she was never actually important, just someone who was there. When my brother got home from a friend's house, I told him what she said and he was furious too. When my dad got home and found out what happened, he told me to apologize. I refused. This led to therapy a couple of weeks ago because my dad and stepmother wanted me to apologize, and for my brother and me to stop being distant with her. They said it wasn't fair. In therapy, my brother told them she wasn't his mom either and said she wished dad had never married her. He even said he hoped they'd get divorced because he didn't want to live with her anymore. My dad and stepmother are furious, especially because I told my brother about what she said. Dad accused me of ruining the relationship, saying I treated her badly, when all she was doing was explaining how she'd raised us and been part of our lives longer than our mom. He said I went nuclear on her and should have been more understanding. Am I the a-hole? I'm sorry. My heart goes out to you. Losing a parent is devastating, and having a stepmother treat you like this only makes it harder. You don't have to like her, but maybe try to find peace for your own sake. Not the a-hole. I have college plans in the works, but I might stay with my grandparents for the summer to get more space from my dad and stepmother. Not the a-hole. The fact that she asked you if they spoke badly of her is a huge clue as to how her mind works. She assumed they would trash talk her, because that's what she does and would do. Maybe mention in therapy that gossiping and putting others down because of insecurity is bad behavior, and that you have the right not to be dragged into petty, vicious gossip. You might have been able to develop a relationship with her if she had approached you with positivity and treated you as an individual person, rather than trying to make you into a spy in her childish crusade against your grandparents, whom you love and for whom you will fight since you want and need them in your life. Stepmom is a mean girl, and that's not pretty. Your dad forgot which day was your stepmother's birthday. Before she got on her high horse and lectured your grandparents, she should have reflected on that. I am so sorry your stepmother was extremely disrespectful to your grandparents. She has no compassion. How could she have said all that to someone who had lost their daughter? It's beyond me. Your dad is equally culpable in not standing up for both of you and watering down what she said to make it sound less hurtful. Not the a-hole. Ask your grandparents if you can move in with them when you turn 18. You've probably read enough Reddit posts to know what you need to do to get ready to move. Be there for your younger brother, because they will likely put more pressure on him once you move out. Yep, but she was looking for something to blame them for. I can tell from all the times she was a part of questioning what happened when we were with our grandparents. She was waiting for something she could use as an excuse to yell at them for. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing when my sister asked me to cut my hair short for her wedding? I'm a 23-year-old woman, and I have a long curly hair that reaches past my waist. I often get compliments because I take good care of my hair. It attracts attention wherever I go. My older sister, who by the way criticizes everything I do and makes subtle jabs and snide comments to put me down every time we've gathered together, has always said I keep my hair that way because I enjoy the attention. That's not true, but I try not to engage in petty arguments with her. I have a strained relationship with her, and we've had arguments because she thinks I always steal the attention away from her, even though I have always tried to accommodate her sensitivities. Now that it's her wedding, I had to change the dress I was planning on wearing for a second time because she thought it would steal the attention from the bride. Even though it was a blue dress, not a color close to white, I chose a simpler dress. Now she's demanding I cut my hair short because she thinks everyone will focus on me and my hair on her wedding day. I told her she's being unreasonable and that I'm not going to cut my hair short just because of her insecurities on her wedding day. She's now saying I'm not invited to her wedding unless I cut my hair to shoulder length. I told her I'm sorry to miss her wedding then. Am I in the wrong for refusing her request? Not the a-hole. What's funny is, Your sister doesn't realize how much more attention such a drastic change to your hair would get from family than just leaving it as it has been for years. I'd suggest you be careful around her so she doesn't try cutting a chunk out of your hair herself. It is never reasonable for a bride or groom to request cutting or dyeing hair. Anyone who tells you to do as she wants simply doesn't want to deal with her drama. This is a good suggestion. She sounds insecure enough to have a go at her hair with scissors. Not the a-hole. She's no right to dictate your hair length. I wonder what more is going on here though. Like, are you extremely beautiful and she is ugly, or have your parents always favored you? This kind of obsession invariably has a cause. It's complicated, as are family dynamics. I think she's beautiful in her own right. I suspect she's resentful of me because I've had early financial success in my career as a visual artist, and my parents and family tend to talk about it a lot during gatherings. She feels overlooked, even though we always celebrate her accomplishments too. She thrives on external validation and always wants to be the center of attention. The hair thing is just another one of her complaints about me. Throughout the years, she's tried to tell me my hair doesn't look good long to get me to cut it short. I haven't been to a single wedding where all people could talk about was someone's hair that they've always had. Unless it's something completely out of character or obnoxious, no one is going to pay attention to your hair. They'll say, "I love your hair," and move on. But it's like these brides can't handle the idea of all the attention not being on them for even a millisecond. Not the a-hole. Exactly. I told her no one is going to pay attention to my hair when she's the one in the beautiful wedding gown. People are used to the way my hair looks. And she told me, but still, there would be relatives who will say your hair is beautiful. I don't want that at my wedding. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my son that family is more important than school? My son Damien, 14 male, takes school seriously. He wants to be the top of the class and have the highest grades, but can't. I often have to pull him out because he has to help out the family with various things. My husband and I are both disabled, and my papa, 88 male, who is on end-of-life care, lives with us. We usually ask him to help care for the house since my husband and I can't do it ourselves, to help care for his granddad, and to help his little siblings, 8 and 4 male, when we can't. Before anyone says it, no, we cannot afford to hire someone to help us, so we can only rely on each other. He's failing a few classes, and the school says he will either have to take them next year or do summer school to make them up. He's been crying about this and started lashing out when we make him stay home to help. Today was especially bad, and we ended up arguing. I told him that family is more important than school, and that his grades won't mean anything once he graduates and gets a job anyway. He says he wants to go to college, but I reminded him that we can't afford it. So how is he going to go without money? He's upset and neglecting his brothers, which is causing extra stress on my husband and me since we have to wrangle them and help my father. He is currently grounded, but I'm wondering if I'm being too harsh. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. You're the a-hole. You are abusing and neglecting your son. You cannot pull him out of school for stuff like this. It's not legal, and it's also not his responsibility as a child to care for adults or your other children. This is so sad. Please stop doing this to him. This situation is unfortunate, but it's not Damien's fault or responsibility, and you are abusing your authority as his parent to benefit yourself at his expense. You keep saying family is more important. Is Damien not family? Or does that sentiment not apply to him when you need something from him? What about when he can't pass to the next grade or get into the college he wants because you decided your needs and wants were more important? You are doing your son a great disservice and owe him changed behavior and an apology. You're the a-hole. Your son is not a babysitter, not an extra set of hands, not a parent. You can apply for assistance through whatever insurance your father has. Your insurance should also provide some home help aid for you and your husband if you are so disabled that you cannot care for your children. Also, if you cannot care for your children, why the heck did you take on your father too? I don't need you to reply, but there has to be other family that can help. I sincerely hope your son's school reports truancy, since you keep pulling him from school. You are selfish. Selfish to take on another adult you can't care for. Selfish to ask your son to parent your children. Selfish to put so much responsibility on a young person's shoulders. Selfish to destroy his future for the sake of your present. Do not be surprised when he goes slow to no contact, because when you need more help when you're older, it won't be the son who helps you. To your son, my family had no money for me to go to college. I supported myself, got my master's degree, and lived very happily. It's a struggle, but I did it, and so can you.